The information shared on the Slipstream gift are from personal accounts and experiences, which are intended to help create discussions on the possibilities and perspectives of energetic potentials. Any communications, considerations, or recommendations are not a substitute for medical, psychological, or licensed professional help in wellness or recovery. Please seek a qualified practitioner regarding specific needs or concerns. We thank you and hope you enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Slipstream Gift, a place of energetic healing potentials waiting to be explored. Hosts Todd Wilcox and Brandon Wainwright will take you on a deep dive of discussion into energetic modalities, self-healing, consciousness expansion, spiritual peace, and overall positive encouragement, while traversing life's spiraling universal questions. Each episode provides a sacred space to share ideas as well as experience interactive energy healing sessions, all guided live with heart. Now here are your hosts, Todd Wilcox and Brandon Wainwright.
Hello and welcome to the Slipstream Gift on the Sacred Spiral Network. We're your hosts, Brandon Wainwright and Todd Wilcox, here for some spiritual discussion, as well as, of course, doing our healings live on the air, which will take the bulk of our time today, but we'll also discuss some spiritual, emotional, psychological concepts before we get into that. Todd, do you have anything? You were saying that you wanted to touch anything on last week's stuff?
Oh, just trauma. Reemphasize about the trauma release and how important it is to do that. And many times we've had trauma in the past, and no matter how little you think it was, especially if you can compare it to somebody else, it may seem like it's nothing, but it's really something. So no matter how little it might be, it's important to look at it and give it an opportunity to leave. And so many times those traumas will find a home in our body where it's weak, maybe where the trauma happened. You might have gotten somebody ran into you and hurt your leg, and the trauma's there in your leg, and it stays with you until you release that trauma. And so I think it's important to, you might even just sit down, get quiet, make a list. Right forefinger aches all the time. Jaw hurts. Something going on with my back. Plantar fasciitis, whatever the case is. Make a list of those things and then talk to them. Really just go into a nice meditative state. You can do something similar to the Slipstream Shaman method. You can do other things. Get into a nice meditative state and just talk to that place. See what's going on. Find that trauma, heal it, release it, and move on. And I think that ties in really well with what you were talking about before we came out with your course on miracles. And so I'm really interested to see what you want to talk about with that. And then just one quick shout out. A friend of mine, Richard, sent me a note the other day. He found us and on YouTube, and he's not able to be here tonight, but he'll probably be at some of our shows. And just a great guy that we did some healing, that I did some healing with a few years ago. And he's in great shape and loving life. And if you ever get a chance to meet him, he does a dead-on Hulk Hogan impersonation. You'd think the Hulkster was right there with you. Yeah, he's really good at that. So,
hey, all you little Hulkamaniacs!
Oh yeah, brother, tell me about he has the whole thing. He gets into character. He has the movements. He is really funny when he starts that. So, we might even have him on sometime just to do his Hulkster.
Yeah, that would be fun. So there's a handful of people tuned in here tonight, Labyrinthian Criterions here. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
Primrose, she's here, which is awesome. Jim G here. Thanks for being here. Yeah, so we've got some of the regulars, my side of the universe. But yeah, to get to what you were talking about, trauma. Obviously, trauma comes in a lot of forms, and we do hold it in our bodies. And so, obviously, it is very important to address those things, not just in terms of the injuries or symptoms that you might be displaying physically, but energetically. And part of that is the psychological processing perspective, spiritual perspective on things, and just something that's come to my attention recently in my own life, which it's amazing how things can be right in front of you and slamming you in the head and you don't even know it's there. But as I've mentioned a number of times on the air, I study A Course in Miracles, which if you know anything about it, it's Jesus Christ who's the teacher and the author of the book. It's right here. It's big, it's thick. And the overarching theme of A Course in Miracles, it's actually a very simple concepts, but very difficult to implement because most of the concepts are basically in direct opposition to the way we live our lives in this 3D world through our egos. And it's designed to get you out of that, which is much more difficult than it sounds. But a big part of it is forgiveness. If you look at it spiritually, A Course in Miracles talks about the separation in the Garden of Eden, if you want to look at it from a biblical standpoint. But from A Course in Miracles standpoint, it is when we decided to separate from God, we took on our egos instead of being in oneness with God. It didn't change anything. Reality is we still are a part of God just as much as we were before, but we're now ego focused. And this is what our perspective is on. This is what our consciousness is of. And that's what we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So that's in direct conflict to the reality of things, which is that we're a part of God. I just saw actually Bradley Lange, we're actually cousins. He just called me uncle, but that's because I'm so much older than him. Thanks for being here, Bradley. Appreciate it. Say hi to your dad for me, Scott. He's my uncle. So anyway, the idea behind it is that our angst that comes from our day-to-day existence in this separation comes from guilt for the separation. It's a really hard thing to wrap your brain around because it's something that's in your subconscious. I'm not going to get too much into the weeds on that because it'll probably just throw everybody off anyway. I'm going to address it more in a more tangible context of my own life, which is, so the idea behind it, okay, so you've got guilt. So forgiveness is huge. Forgiveness is a huge theme with A Course in Miracles. It's the biggest theme in A Course in Miracles. And if you think about it, another big concept in it is the oneness. Our oneness with God, our oneness with each other. Everything is connected. It's an easy thing to think about intellectually, but emotionally, spiritually, really connecting with that concept. If you really can do that, the idea of forgiveness of people, people that maybe you've had trouble with, people that you've had traumatic experiences with, perhaps an ex-spouse, a child that's hurt you, or maybe if you're a child, a parent that's hurt you, realizing that this soul that you have beef with is just as much a part of God as you are, and you are totally connected to them. The forgiveness that comes with that is so peace bringing. It's on the frequency of love, and if you can get into that mindset, you'll see how much peace it brings, especially when you have things going on and trouble with people that you're having a difficult time processing. So you have that level, but an even more important part of it is forgiveness of self. And that part is very elusive because most people, myself included, I have things that I struggle to forgive myself for. I don't think about it on a conscious level most of the time. Most of the time I feel it on an unconscious level. I have angst inside. I have turmoil that I'm struggling to figure out what the origin of it is. And I just recently had an interaction with the spiritual teacher of mine, Amara. She's actually was on the show when the show first started, and she pointed out to me how much self-forgiveness I still was grappling with. And when she said it, I was like, I don't know, that's not true. I forgive myself. And what I was saying was actually true intellectually. Specific situation that we're talking about, I'm not going to get into that, but I've processed it it as nauseum, and I do forgive myself for it intellectually, but on a subconscious level, I don't. And it's not so much that I think what I did was so awful. It's that living in the consciousness of oneness, connectedness, my connection to God, all of our connection to God. That's the healing factor that brings that forgiveness to fruition. And I know that's, if you've ever experienced this, hopefully this is resonating with you. But what I'm getting at is this is a more of a spiritual process than it is an intellectual or a time generated process. Todd, am I making any sense?
You are. And something I just to follow up with that is many times when we're trying to forgive ourselves or forgive somebody else, we're going at it in a logical way, and logic does not work on emotion. You need to work on forgiveness, which is an emotion, in an emotional way, not in a logical way. When somebody's trying to get you to get over something, they like to use logic. Logic does not work on emotion. You can say it can make sense, and it can sound good, and you can really believe that it's making a difference, but logic doesn't make any difference with emotion. You have to use emotion to deal with emotion. Once the emotion's released and all that's left is the event, then you can maybe use some logic on it. But until you get that emotion detached, it's not going to change. And so you have to look at emotional forgiveness from an emotional point of view.
But again, I mean, the emotions, we process emotions over time. They get pent up inside, but then there's that whole other level of consciousness that's connected to the creator, that it's important that we recognize that and see the importance of that, how that all fits in. Because sometimes there's some things that you go through in life where it's like, it's so big and it's so disconcerting, and the people involved are behaving in ways that you never dreamed of. It's like it can feel like it's impossible to reconcile. But if you can tap into those bigger concepts, why we're here, what we're here to learn, our true essence, our true identity, which is that we are the Son of God. All of us are. I say that in the masculine because that's the way it's presented in A Course in Miracles. The son, daughter, all the same. But really internalizing that and processing it on a subconscious and conscious level, I think is really key to true forgiveness, and truly processing things emotionally. Hopefully this is making some sense.
And once you can get it to that place, that I talk about, energy and spirit, once you can get to that place where you can do the work on it, I think you can really make some powerful strides. When you're looking to do forgiveness, Brandon, take us through just, and don't share what you were forgiving, but if you could just take us through the process of of, how you identify it, how you start to work with it, what you do to make it change, and maybe even what the change looks like.
Well, I mean, that's kind of I'm in the process of that now, but it's more of a, it's subconscious feeling that's pervasive, that you're not even consciously aware of, but yet it's pervasive. The feeling of it just below the surface, that's just kind of with you all the time. And it just, like all of a sudden, when it was pointed out to me, your forgiveness of yourself, it just was like, whoa, I'm looking back at this person like, you're right. That is exactly what it is. It's more of a feeling, like it just is this monkey on my back that I've been carrying for a long time. And just on that emotional level alone, it's been very, I think, helpful and healing to recognize it and address it. But I've been doing it. I've been doing my very best to do that through the concept, in the context of my godliness, of my divinity, of the divinity of everybody involved in the situation that I'm grappling with. It's forgiving myself, but forgiving them, and being very cognizant of the whole thing. It's it's one of those things that it's kind of hard to describe, because it is kind of on an emotional, deeper level than it's more of a feeling than it is truly. I mean, it's an easy concept. You got to forgive yourself. You got to let it go. But emotionally feeling, realizing how much you've been just beating yourself down, and then you're looking at it realistically and saying, this is absurd. This is a big waste of energy. It's a big waste of time. And this isn't what God wants, And so, anyway, hopefully that makes sense to people. I'm a student. I'm a relatively new student of A Course in Miracles. I am certainly no expert on this. So Deanna, hi Deanna. Deanna's here for another friend of mine. Thanks for tuning in. But it's hopefully, if you can't grasp the concepts that I'm talking about in terms of A Course of Miracles, hopefully you're at least this is sounding familiar to you on an emotional subconscious level with self-forgiveness, because the self-forgiveness is more important than actually, I think, in the healing process of being able to navigate through a crisis, than it is to forgive the other people around you. And a lot of times, I think sometimes what holds you back from forgiving the other people is your lack of forgiveness for yourself. It's, you're upset with them, and it's easier to just keep blasting them, when the reality is that inside you haven't forgiven yourself, and you're not wanting to look at that on a subconscious level. So you direct it out, you project, and it just perpetuates itself. It just keeps going. So, and then to tie this into what you were talking about with trauma, all of this stuff starts to manifest on an energetic, physical level, energetic, emotional, physical level. And so I have to say, over the last 3 years, as much as I've gone through emotionally, mentally, physically, with everything, I'm damn lucky that I'm an energy healer, and I can work on myself daily, because I've remained pretty darn healthy through it all. Probably healthier than I've been, and it's because I've been so cognizant of taking good care of myself physically and energetically. But it doesn't mean that there's not all those struggles going on. So, definitely address those aspects of yourself in a holistic way. Keep yourself in shape. You
have been through a lot, and you are extraordinarily strong. I would like
I don't know about that. I try.
Without question. Labyrinthian criterion. I hope I'm saying that criterion. Wants to know, how would you talk about forgiveness to someone that's all about logic? And I would, in answer to that, I'm seeing myself first off, starting with how does that make you feel when you think about what you need to forgive this person or yourself for? How does that make you feel? Investigate that as far as we can. Maybe ask them, when you think about that, where does it take you? So you're trying to forgive somebody that yelled at you, let's say. Where does that take you when you think about it? And it might take you to a time that you yelled at your dog, or it might take you to some other thing. Wherever it takes you is where it takes you, and you start looking for those core, that core place where the thing that needs to be forgiven lives. Where does it take you? Where do you want it to take you? Instead of, how upset you get now when you think about it, where would you like that memory, that thought to take you? And that may take you to the place of forgiveness. And then finally, just, this is just all off the cuff, but you mentioned projection. And it's funny how often you can be talking to somebody and they will have it. You know that they have an issue. You've talked about the issue, and they will talk about somebody else that has that issue and what they could do. They're projecting it onto somebody else. They're kind of giving you the answer, right? Through somebody else. And you can have them explore, well, what would that person be thinking about this? And start going that way to remove themselves a little bit from get out of their own head, and see where that takes them.
Well, I think a lot of times that's what it is. It's easier. I speak from experience because I'm kind of notorious for this, to be honest. Is talking. I can be very analytical, and and breaking down a situation and discussing. This is happening. I think it's and that's all valid stuff. But a lot of times it's avoidance. It's easier to do that than to really dive in deep into what, the other thing is, and this is our ego. This ties into what A Course in Miracles is all about too, is that our tendency, which we're born with, we come into this world, that's the challenge. That's why we're here, is to be able to navigate despite this and to realize our true nature, our true divinity, is that we come into this 3D world and we want to manipulate the external. We want to manipulate the physical. We convince ourselves that if we can fix this thing outside of ourselves, whether it be a relationship or a job, or maybe you get that new car, or you need to move to a new area or whatever. It's all these external things. I gotta stop working with this person that I work with because they're driving me crazy. These are all discomforts or wants or desires that we cope with, but those are all on an ego level. We've convinced ourselves that if we can manipulate things on that and get things the way we want them externally, physically, then everything will be okay. And then it never is okay, ever. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the richest person in the world. You get everything you want in the physical realm. You could be wealthy, drive the nicest sports car, have the most beautiful wife or husband or whatever. If inside you're not at peace and you're trying to externalize everything and find peace with the physical, that's not where it's at. It's internal, not the ego. And so, but that's our nature. And that whole the ego is from the separation. It is the embodiment of our separation from God. So if you tie all this in, it's energy, us healing, all these things are real, but that overarching concept of our divinity and our eternal peace in nature, that's where it's at. Easier said than done. I'm not saying that it's like that I'm some guru and that I figured it all out. I haven't. I struggle with it every single day, a lot. But realizing it and trying to live it and keep yourself cognizant of that on a moment-to-moment basis, it's if you can focus on it and make a habit of it, over time it will become a habit, and it'll be and instead of doing what the ego typically wants to do, which is a habit, you'll slowly become more functional in that way. I mean, that's what I'm striving for. And that's the whole Course in Miracles. That's what that's all about, is getting to that point. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then just maybe one final thing on this is, as we're talking, and I know that in my life, I still have a lot of things to work on, forgiveness wise, for sure. And not just, forgiving other people, but forgiving myself for things. But inviting those people, their energy, into my quantum room and having a conversation and see where that takes me. Think about all the times when you've had some kind of problem with somebody, and it seems like a giant problem. Then you spend the time talking to them, and you realize it wasn't that big a deal. It wasn't really that big a deal to you, and it was no deal at all to them. And you're able to get over it fairly quickly. And so one of the things that I'm going to test tonight is I'm going to invite a couple people, couple situations into my quantum room and have that conversation and see where it leads.
Well, that's a good point too. It's just it exemplifies the idea that everything is perspective. Each of us has our perspective, and a lot of it, unfortunately, based on our egos and the way we're seeing things on an egoic level. But that's how we experience the world. And somebody else right next to us could be seeing the same situation, experiencing everything, but it's just as real to them as it is to you. So getting to the nitty gritty of what it really is, that oneness, that divinity, and thinking of it in those terms, it basically it makes you more objective in the way you're experiencing the world, which is a lot easier if you're looking for, I mean, like think about the times when you're in love, and you're in that new euphoric part of the introductory part of the relationship, and nothing can get you down. You could deal with nothing but bullshit all day long. And, you get up and, the dog shit the bed. You burn the eggs, the bacon's raw. I don't care. I'm in love. And, right. I mean, and that's an energetic thing. And and you think about how you feel energetically in that situation. Nothing can get you down. You feel on top of the world. It's not the situation, it's your perspective. And so if you can get to a place where you see things more as they are, more on that divine level, and get in the habit of looking at things that way, I think you can make things more peaceful. So hopefully some of this resonates. We're just shooting the shit here.
At least it's not in the bed, huh? It's not from the dog, and it's not on the bed, so we can shoot it.
So, gee, Brandon, it sounds like you speak from experience.
Oh, man.
Well, what do you think?
Yeah, let's go for it. I haven't noticed anybody requesting a healing or an alignment, whatever we're going to call it. But if anybody here wants one, we'll certainly do it. And if not, we can just do a general one, and people can follow along. And and they can find internally something that they need to work on.
Okay.
It's like Gavin has put in a request. Okay.
All right, go with Gavin.
And just remember, everybody, as we're doing this, play along is the wrong way to say this, but as we're doing this, open yourself up, see what part of it resonates with you. And it just may be that the same energy that we're working on with someone else would help you as well. It's amazing how many times in a group setting like this, doing one alignment actually helps 4 people. So so maybe let's start with Gavin. Gavin asked first, and then we've got Labrithian Criterion and also Jim G. Put in a request. We'll see how time goes and see where we're at.
I didn't
sound good.
So yeah, I didn't see. I don't know if my comment thread isn't working right now, but I didn't see those. Okay, so cool. Start with Gavin.
Start with Gavin. Yep.
Okay.
Really nice. Another nice part of doing this type of work is you really oxygenate your body as you take the nice deep breaths, hold it for a little bit, and release it. We tend not to breathe right during the day, and this is a really great chance to get some good air into us. I'm in my quantum room, and it is dark like it normally is because it is in deep space right now. But there's also quite a bright light that is from my field of vision above me and to the left. And I'm not sure if that's star energy or spirit energy or what, but there's pretty good light coming in now. And I'm inviting Gavin into the quantum room. And as I'm looking at Gavin, seeing a hat, Gavin wearing a hat, kind of a jacket, kind of a flannel jacket, I guess. Looks a little padded, puffy. And then some maybe tan colored pants. Stuff you would wear outside. Feel I'm getting a real outdoor vibe from Gavin. Being outside. A little bit of distance with Gavin right now. I'm inviting Gavin to come closer. And as Gavin gets closer, there's a chassis of a car. Just the main frame, axles, and I think the tire and wheels are there. But that's between Gavin and I don't know what that means. But I'm gonna push it out of the way so that Gavin can get a little closer. Now I've got Gavin up close. Okay. Desi's looking around, sniffing. Usually Desi will pull something out of somebody, take something off of them, something like that. What she's doing with Gavin is scraping, both paws scraping the entire torso from shoulder to waist, going around Gavin multiple times, just scraping. I don't think scraping off skin. I think scraping off something that's on Gavin. And there's a pretty good pile. She's taking a lot off of Gavin. There's like a 3 or 4 inch pile directly below Gavin all the way around. So we're going to give that good healing energy to get it ready for the love. And when we give that ring of sand, I'm not sure what to call it, but as we give it the love energy so it can start healing and returning to the universe to do its work again, it turns into, I want to say, a toy train, but it's more of it's probably not a toy. It's probably just out of perspective. The perspective might be off. I feel like it might be a real train, and it's a fast train. It's kind of a futuristic looking train, and it uncoils from around Gavin's feet, takes off. And so now we're putting energy on Gavin's waist, torso, and then the love team is putting healing energy on that. And Gavin, somebody else has joined us. I can't get a good look at them. I couldn't tell you if it's young, old, male, female, but there's an energy here that's keeping an eye on you. And I feel like it's keeping an eye on you. I don't think it's anything bad. It's something, someone looking out for you. And all I'm seeing is energy for them. But there's definitely somebody curious about what's going on right now. And that energy's touching your left shoulder right now. And Desi's taking a piece of metal out of the front of your forehead. It's kind of shaped like a nail. She's pulling it straight out and just dropped it on the ground. And we give it cleansing energy and then love energy. And it looks a little bit like a snake or an eel or a worm, and it just goes right into the ground. The energy is returning to the universe through the ground. And we're going to surround Gavin with the love team now. Just send love energy up through your feet, up through your body, out through your hands, up to your shoulders, out through the top of your head, out your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth, coming up through your feet, going out through the top. Lots and lots of energy, cleansing, healing, recovery. When Gavin steps out now.
I saw a lot. Oh, sorry. I saw a lot. Did you, just curious, did you know the golden corkscrew of light that energy, did you see that at all?
I didn't, but it might have been that energy that I was seeing off to my left. It might have been that. I couldn't get a good look at it, but there was a lot of energy above me and to the left, up this way.
Yeah, because it was weird. I was like, I could saw this, I could see it, which
Yeah.
normal. I've never actually seen it. Other people have seen it, but I haven't.
Yeah.
That's supposedly, for those of you listening, that I've had 3 different people see my energy signature, Todd being one of them. That's when we realized how effective it was for us to work together. So anyway, I saw that, but let's try if I can see if I can remember everything I saw. It opened up, you know those red flowers, Christmas flowers, the people.
Yeah.
First thing I saw, what are they?
Poinsettias.
Poinsettias. Yeah. First thing I saw was that in a pot, and then I saw a zebra, which usually signifies balance. The black and white stripes for me, and sometimes it's piano keys. And sometimes I'll just see black and white shrivels or whatever. But I saw a zebra, so usually that's what that means. But then I saw a snowman, so it almost seemed like it was some kind of Christmas themed thing. But then what was it I saw next? It was like summer themed. I saw like watermelon rinds, and and it was right around the time when you were pulling stuff out. I think it was out of maybe was it the stomach? I can't remember, but it seemed like maybe whatever it was related, like summer theme stuff connected to Christmas theme, probably with people involved, is what I was kind of thinking. I don't know. These images kept flashing in, and then I saw I saw the light, the corkscrew of light. I guess, damn, when you see that many, it's kind of hard to keep track of all of them.
Yeah.
But anyway, hopefully some of that makes sense. So what was it? What was the next person?
We have Jim G and also Labyrinthian Criterion.
Jim G says, "I'll take one on my lower back, please."
Okay. Huh. We'll see what happens.
All right, let's do it.
Jim G. Jim G comes into the quantum room with pretty strong energy, pretty happy energy, vibrant, ready to go. Jim G is ready to go. So Desi starts sniffing around Jim. She's removing. There's these hair clippies that ladies people put in buns, look like teeth. She's removing something that looks like that from Jim's left calf. And it's not just that thing. It's got like tendrils that look a little bit like hydraulic fluid hoses going into the left leg. So we're removing all that, giving those items healing energy, cleaning them up, sending the love energy to heal them. And they turn into a fish skeleton. Like when a fish has been picked clean and all that's left is the head and the skeleton, turns into that, and it just swims away. It goes back into the universe, energy returned to the universe. And we are sending healing energy to Jim's leg to clean it, and then love energy to refill that whole area up so that nothing else comes back. Nature abhors a vacuum, so we want to make sure that area is cleaned and sealed. And as we're doing that, it looks like Jim's leaning a little bit to the left from his hips up. So some of the bigger members of the team, the horses, the giraffe, they've got Jim under his arms. So his arms are out. They've got their heads under his arms. And other members of the team are holding on to his feet and legs, like pulling him down, almost stretching him to get that straight. And there's another one of those clips on his back, left side, just below his ribs. We're removing that and the hoses that go with it. And his body releases when we do that. You can just tell, standing straighter, standing taller, energy flowing right. And we give cleansing energy to those items, the healing love energy. And this time it looks like a little animal, squirrel, chipmunk type thing, that does the paw deal when they sit on their hind legs. But it's not a type of, it might be like something from Africa or the Amazon or something that I don't really recognize, or maybe some new life form that we just created or just found. But I don't completely recognize it, but it's very similar to a squirrel or a chipmunk. Now it's gone. Something new is happening. This is not something I've been around before, but now that Jim G's back is straight, there's a ring of light starting at his feet, and it's going up his entire body, all the way up over his head, and then back down. And it's almost in cadence with a nice deep breath, all the way up and down. And I get the feeling that this is really just aligning Jim's energy in his body, getting all the flow right, getting the currents right, going in the right directions. And now the love team surrounds him and starts feeding him energy. And I actually see and feel Brandon's energy coming in. I'm not sure where it was for most of this session. It was somewhere. I just didn't pick up on it. But right now it is going through me and into Jim G. So the three of us are connected right now. I'm getting some energy. Jim G's getting most of it. Jim G has a nice big smile, and he's heading out of the quantum room now.
All right. So, first thing, and it came, I don't know if maybe subconsciously your hair clip thing inspired it, but I saw an alligator in the very beginning, and which I don't know. Maybe I should just not even try and analyze any of this. But after that, I saw it looked like golden wheat, like kind of like blowing or some kind of like barley or something just kind of blowing in the wind, and like this beautiful sunset scene, and it was just really peaceful, and it just felt healthy. It felt like energetically it was just very in alignment with peace. So there was that, and then I didn't see anything for a while, and then I saw a bowling ball. It was almost like a cartoon version of a bowling ball, like going down like a bowling alley, like really fun, and like I got the feeling like this is something like, Jim, if you're gonna want to go bowling, go party and bowl. I got the feeling like it was like a message: go bowling, it's good. And there was that, and then what was next? I saw not a Jolly Rancher, but a blow pop, and it was like, I think you were describing like just like good fun energy. It felt like it was like something like youthful, carefree type of energy, like really feed into that energy. Like that was really important. And then the last thing I saw, and it was, or no, I saw, and I actually I saw a squirrel right around the time you described the squirrel. So that was interesting. And then the last thing I saw, and there might have been another image in there, but I don't remember for sure. I saw Droopy right before you said he's leaving with a big smile on his face. It was like that makes me mad, but it was like, it was lighthearted. It was lighthearted. So it felt good.
Very good.
Take that for what it is, buddy.
Yeah. Gavin, I see I really needed that. Thank you. I'm glad that helped you, Gavin. And then Brenda is asking, is it possible to heal someone not present watching you now? That answer is yes. I typically need some kind, well, I don't necessarily need it. I want some kind of permission from somebody close to the person, parent, child, or a friend, somebody like that is giving the permission. I'd prefer to have the person tell me that they would want it, but it's certainly not.
Didn't we have another request too from somebody on here? I think we did.
We did. I just don't have the gas tonight, though. I think I'd be forcing it if I tried to do one more.
Those were pretty lengthy ones, actually.
Yeah. Labyrinthian Criterion did request, but Labyrinthian and Brenda, both, if you would like, shoot me an email at slipstreamshaman at gmail.com, and I can do one of these for you later in the week and send you a dictation of what I see.
All right. So, well, hopefully, and kind of getting to that hour mark.
Yeah.
So I guess hopefully, if you tune in for the part where we were having the discussion about healing and trauma and forgiveness of self and others, hopefully you got something out of that, some insight. Because the thing is, one thing I in my spiritual journey that I found is and it's all the things that we experience, especially when we're when we're new to our awakening, experiencing an amazing mediumship reading, or or you connect with a loved one, or psychic reading, things like that are just like blow your socks off, and they're so interesting, and they're so uplifting, because especially the ones that remind you of our eternal nature, where my favorite ones personally are when you connect to a loved one on the other side, because it just gives you such a perspective on the big picture. You realize how much more important love is and connection is than anything else. Those are all uplifting things, but I think it's really important beyond all that, beyond all the aspects that are just kind of sensational and exciting. It's important to keep a perspective on the big picture, which is, we stay connected to our loved ones, but why do we come here in the first place? What are we trying to evolve into? I think it's really important to be cognizant of that beyond all the other stuff, because the other stuff, ultimately, if you're not engaged in the big picture, you're kind of just dealing with pulp. It's just kind of entertainment more than it is a substance. Not that connecting with the loved one is just entertainment, but if you don't go beyond that. So I think I just encourage everybody to ponder those things and focus on the why behind it all. So I guess with that, you have anything else, Todd?
Actually, I want to thank everybody.
Let me stop you real quick. In honor of Married with Children, if anybody here was ever a fan of Married with Children, which I was, not only was I a big fan, but I actually, little claim to fame, I worked on the last 24 episodes of that show. I was lucky enough to work on that show when I first got out of college. I went to film school, and before I was a police officer, any of those other things, I worked in Hollywood. Bud, for a while there, he was a rapper, and he called himself Grandmaster B. That was one of the characters on Married with Children. So your new nickname is Grandmaster T. It just came to me, so I had to share that.
All right.
So go, Grandmaster, go.
That's too funny. I had watched 2 episodes of Married with Children earlier today and was just roaring. I'd forgotten how funny and irreverent that was, and I loved it when it was on. I still love it, and you almost look at when you watch a show as long as I watch that, they almost feel like they're part of the family. If I ever ran into one of them, I would probably talk to them like I knew them. And I can't believe you've waited, what is it, 5 years we've known each other?
I never mentioned that. I thought
no. That's something you lead with. And
I also worked on the first Men in Black.
You did what?
I worked on the first Men in Black movie.
On the first Men in Black. All right.
But to be honest, I'm more proud of Married with Children.
Yeah. People ask me, what's your dream job? When you're at work, what would your dream job be? Thinking that you're going to say something inside the company. And I always tell them, well, they're not really available, but Starfleet Captain would be number 1, and being one of the Men in Black would be 2. And that just kind of ends the whole conversation.
Yeah. Well, I guess, yeah, there we go. You're what is it? 2 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
Very Brenda, good. I just want to acknowledge Brenda. She said such a great podcast, guys. Thank you, Brenda. That means a lot. We don't know exactly how we're doing. We're doing our best here, but we're hoping that it benefits everybody. That's the main thing. So I kind of interrupted you, Grandmaster T. What were you saying before?
Tonight was actually quite healing for me. We were talking about forgiveness and finding a way through, and I guess I needed this night, this conversation, and the energy of the people that are joining us on the podcast to kind of break through an old wound and do some forgiveness, and I'll be making a phone call tomorrow to talk to somebody about that. And So thanks
awesome.
to everybody for helping me with that. We got together for a reason, and a lot of help came out, and I for sure had a nice breakthrough. So thank you.
That's awesome, Todd. I mean, Grandmaster T. That's no, that really that touches my heart. So thank you for sharing that. And I guess I'll just leave it on this note. Just remember, on that same vein, we're all part of the Creator, and the Creator doesn't see you as a sinner. It doesn't see you as flawed. The Creator sees you as part of itself, and no matter what you've done or not done, or how you perceive yourself, the Creator sees you as just pure love. So if you can't see yourself that way, at least try to see it from the Creator's point of view. Give yourself a little bit of peace, even if it's just briefly. Try to incorporate that into your self-concept, into the concept of the universe, if you can. And if that maybe that inspires you to check out A Course in Miracles, or perhaps a book related about A Course in Miracles. There's a book called A Course in Miracles Made Easy by Alan Cohen. There's actually quite a few really good books about A Course in Miracles, but that's a really good one if you want to check it out. It hits on the concepts in a way that you can digest, because the book itself can be a little overwhelming, especially if you haven't actually read anything else on it first. But on that, sorry, you had such a beautiful thing going there. I want to go back to Todd. And Todd's forgiveness. Thanks, brother.
It's all good.
One thing I want to say, to just acknowledge Todd. Todd inspires me every week. Sometimes I get on the air and I've had a rough day or whatever, and I always leave feeling better because we're doing good work here and we're connecting.
Yes.
And so thank you for joining us and being a part of it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, brother. So we'll be usually we do this every other week, but the showrunner, it has a different schedule this month. So actually we will be on next week, and then we won't be on again until August. So definitely tune in next Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. Love to see you. And if you have anything that you need help with, be cognizant of that and put that into the comments. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Yes, and special thanks to everybody that keeps coming back. Thank you.
Definitely. Okay, everybody. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Bye.